I'm going to jump right into some breaking news coming in from the King County Courthouse. We now know that Kolby Delamar has been sentenced to 11 years in prison. This is a story that we've been talking about really since April of this year. You may remember this video, surveillance footage showing the victim, Tina Rothert, a grandmother at a Covington BECU back on April 5th of 2024. She testified earlier today talking about why Delamar needed to be behind bars for an extended period of time. Delamar had pled guilty to assault in the first degree and attempted robbery first degree. Now, we were not able to bring you live coverage from inside of the courtroom, but because the sentencing just came in, we can now roll back and play some of this for you. Again, sentenced to 11 years behind bars. We're going to jump right in with Delamar addressing the court, and then we'll just play this right through until he learns his sentencing, and then we'll jump back in and hear from the victim in this case. So next voice you hear will be Kolby Delamar talking a little bit more about his feelings now months removed from this shooting of this grandmother in King County.
Loved one, grandmother, sister, and friend. I know I left you scarred physically and mentally. Deep down, no amount of time will fix what I've done because I have made a horrendous mistake that both of us will struggle to live with for the rest of our lives. Lastly, Tina, I want to ask you if you would please accept my apology as a young, dumb person for the traumatizing things I did to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Does that conclude the defense presentation?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Good afternoon again, everyone. I'm Judge Whitland. I want to first just say that to Tina Rothert, you are an incredibly strong and resilient person. And I received an outpouring of letters from the community that talked about what an amazing person you are. Your work with the Scouts, with the Seahawk Boosters, and your strength in the community, and your kindness, and how much respect people have for you and love. And it was profound to read them, to receive so many letters, and also just how devastated people are that this happened to you, and how much you are on their minds and in their hearts. And I heard in these letters how, for example, every time someone passes that ATM, they're thinking about you, they're thinking about Haley. Every time there's a Seahawks event, they're thinking about you, they're thinking about Haley. And describing for me, in addition to what I heard from you and from others today, how awful your injuries are and how much pain you're in, how much physical pain, how much emotional pain, and how much you have struggled. And I want to say to everyone who is here on your behalf, I hear you. I hear how angry you feel, how much pain you're in, and how much you love Tina Rothert and how much you love Haley. That is really, really clear to me, and I so appreciate you being here and your written statements, what you said in court, and for being here on behalf of Tina Rothert and Haley. This court, as you know, must deliver a sentence within the sentencing range. That is what the court has to do. And I'm saying this because I did get letters from people asking for sentences that are not in that range, and that is not something this court can do. The range in this case, as you've heard from the lawyers, is 111 months to 147 months. And 111 months is just over 9 years in prison, and 147 months is just over 12 years in prison. And that is the range the court is considering. In deciding this sentence, I must consider the following factors under Washington law. Ensuring that the punishment for a criminal offense is proportionate to the seriousness of the offense and the offender's criminal history. And this was a horrible crime. This was a very serious crime, and I am taking that into consideration. Promoting respect for the law by providing a punishment which is just. Imposing commensurate punishment with those who committed similar offenses. Protecting the public. And I will say from the letters I received, there is real fear because of this crime. People are more on edge. People have more reluctance just going to the ATM. Offering the offender an opportunity to improve himself. Making frugal use of the state's and local government's resources, and reducing the risk of reoffending in the community. In addition to those factors, our state Supreme Court, the Washington Supreme Court, has also repeatedly held that trial courts must consider the age of the defendant, and 20 is considered a young person by the court. And so I have considered his age and circumstances. And what that means is I have to look through a lens that says this is not someone who is 40 years old that committed this crime. And I understand that that is a hard thing for people to hear sometimes, because all of us know 20-year-olds who wouldn't pull the trigger, right? And I understand that too. But even with that said, I'm required by the law to consider Mr. Delamar's age, and I have done so. And so, just give me a moment here. All right, and so, Mr. Delamar, I'm sentencing you to 132 months in prison. That is 11 years in prison. I know that for a young person like yourself, the days go by slowly. It is not like for someone like me, who is an older adult, where time goes by quickly. Those will be long days, and it will be a long days of 11 years, and that is the court sentence on count one. It's 132 months. I appreciated hearing from your dad and from your brother today, and it tells me that you do have support when you get out from prison, and that it is my hope for you and for the community that you spend every day really being the person that they see in you. And I will say to you and to everyone else, most of the time, a defendant who is a young person in particular who is being sentenced in a room full of people does not speak, because it is scary to speak, and because they feel shame, and basically they're terrified. And so I do appreciate hearing from you today. I did not know if you actually would speak, and I do hear your remorse. On count one, 132 months. On count two, 40.5 months. The total length of confinement is 132 months. The period of community custody following your release is 36 months. So you'll be on probation for 3 years after your release on count 1 and 18 months on count 2. You will lose your right. You have lost your right to possess a firearm. You will need to give a DNA sample that will be kept on file. You're to have no contact with Tina Rothert. You're to have no contact with that BECU in Covington. And you are to have no contact with the child who witnessed the crime. That is the court's sentence. Counsel, do you need any clarification?
Yes, will Your Honor also be ordering the anti-harassment?
All right, so if you didn't catch that, that was concurrent counts, meaning that 11 years for the first charge will also be served at the same time the second charge, though there's no additional months for that probation set for 3 years. Tina Rothert, you had a chance to see her inside the courtroom. She was the woman who was shot at that ATM at the BECU that you heard a little bit about, and you're seeing some pictures of Tina with other community members. You heard about her love of the Seahawks. We are going to be hearing from Tina. I wanted to jump right into the sentencing of this case because I think that is the most important thing. Now knowing that Kolby Delamar will serve those 11 years behind bars. You saw him after addressing the court with tears streaming down his face. We will now hear from Tina, but that is coming up after a short commercial break. We're looking at Kolby Delamar inside the courthouse in King County after he was just sentenced to 11 years in prison. This follows the shooting and theft of a grandmother in Covington back in April of 2024. We saw him with tears streaming down his eyes as that sentencing came in. This is just into our newsroom, a video that we weren't allowed to show you until all the events wrapped up. So you just heard the 11-year sentence. Now I want you to actually go back in time just a little bit further and hear from Tina Rothert. She is the shooting victim in this case. You heard about the powerful statements that she made. Let's listen into that together.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I appreciate the opportunity to address the court today. I will be speaking quickly because I know that the court has time constraints. It is of the utmost importance that everyone realizes I am not the only victim in this case. I am merely the tip of the iceberg. First and foremost is Haley, my biological granddaughter, who I took in at 3.5 months old and then adopted at 2.5, making her my legal daughter. She witnessed this from my car directly across from the ATM. There are no adequate words to describe the true impact of the crime inflicted on me or Haley the evening of April 5th, 2024, when I was simply making an attempt to deposit a check into my bank account at an ATM that I have used on a regular basis for many years. I was trying to save a little bit of time because the following morning I was going to be going in the opposite direction to watch one of my grandsons march in the Daffodil Parade. Instead of making that deposit, I was shot twice in my thigh and once in my stomach, resulting in 8 open wounds due to entry and exit by either bullets or bullet fragments after one bullet hit and broke my femur. I tried to explain to Kolby I could not take $1,000 out of the ATM that he was demanding. There was no reason for him to shoot me after he shoved me away, so his co-defendant could try and access my account. I did not pose any kind of threat to him. Over 1.5 years later, I am still in physical therapy twice a week, as well as trauma therapy weekly. There are so many normal things that I can't do, like tie my shoe or cut my own toenails on that foot. Rolling over in bed is painful, so is putting on a sock. I can't wear jeans or any type of heavy coarse material because of the extensive nerve damage, as well as the bullet fragments that still remain in there, which will, I am told, likely be painful for years and can also cause lead toxicity. I cannot tolerate extreme temperatures, meaning I can't go outside and enjoy the snow or relaxing in a hot tub. I can't even take a bath in my own tub because of mobility issues. Sleep is very difficult, either due to pain or not being able to shut my brain off from the nightmares and related anxiety. The sun shining on my leg hurts. I have to use a seatbelt clip to keep the lap belt from putting pressure on my thigh. Getting up and down every single time is effort. Most daily household chores are difficult at best, if even possible. There is no getting down on the floor to play or getting down on the sand at the beach to look for sea glass. Even putting air in my tires is painful, not to mention how difficult yard work is. I was out of my home for 6 weeks between a hospital and rehab center, during which time I had to find care for Haley, who also had to be out of our home and away from her life as she knew it. A portion of her childhood was robbed from her that night because she was propelled into being a caregiver instead of just being a child. After I came home, she panicked every time I made a sound because moving hurt. Without batting an eye, she took on the role of homemaker and caretaker, tending to almost everything that needed to be done and waiting on me hand and foot, even when I tried explaining to her that I needed to at least try, because even though it hurt, it was part of my healing process. She was and still is the reason I have not given up. She should not be carrying the level of anxiety that this has caused her. The amount of guilt that I have carried for this is beyond huge, but thanks to my trauma therapist, I'm realizing that guilt is not something for me to carry. She defines guilt as having the intent to do harm. I am not the one that intended to do any harm that night. I should have been able to make a quick stop at an ATM in my own community without the fear of being robbed and shot. Even if Kolby says it was not his original intent to shoot me, it was his intent to rob me with a gun, therefore causing harm. I would also like the court to consider that if the gun was only supposed to be a scare tactic, it should not have been loaded. I can't begin to describe what fireworks, a car backfiring, or a popping balloon do to me. I'm a prisoner in my own community, no longer comfortable out in public, especially when there are young men with hoodies, even in the middle of the day. I will not use any outdoor ATM no matter what time of day it is. I'm not comfortable outside after dark anymore, even in my own yard, so that is yet another passion of mine that has been taken away from me because I love astronomy. I have missed attending so many things, from memorials of friends and relatives that have passed away, to traveling, to seeing musician friends perform. Everything takes so much effort and is painful. Another passion of mine is photography, and I can no longer go out on nature hike photo shoots like I used to. I have been a Seahawks season ticket holder since the Kingdom, and even those games are a challenge now because even though I was blessed by being given a scooter to make getting to the games possible, I have to deal with the fireworks, which sometimes I can handle and sometimes they come close to breaking me. PTSD and anxiety are very real. I am the current scoutmaster for a local Boy Scout troop in my community, which I have belonged to for almost 22 years. I haven't been to summer camp with my scouts for 2 consecutive summers, nor was I able to attend Sea Base in the Bahamas with them this past summer, which was a trip we started planning over 2 years ago because of this crime. I will also miss next summer's camp because you have to register early, and I am not able to pass the physical yet. I can't walk any kind of distance without using some kind of aid, and I used to walk 2 to 3 miles every day on my lunch break. Numerous troop activities have had to be canceled with my scouts because we didn't have enough adults to be able to support them. My scouts are also victims of this crime. I had a surprise visit when I was in rehab by 4 of my Eagle Scouts that I had not seen for quite some time, and they told me they wanted to come see me to show that they supported me the way I had supported them for so many years. I kept thinking how different these young men were from the youthful offenders that tried to rob me and shot me. I'm very proud of the number of Scouts that have earned the rank of Eagle in my troop over the years. I will add several of them come from broken homes. Some experienced life with chemical dependency, as well as growing up with other dysfunctions and special needs. Yet each one of them made life choices that helped them achieve the rank of Eagle Scout and have careers and be successful contributors in today's society. They are perfect examples that a less than perfect childhood doesn't give anyone the right to use it as an excuse to commit crimes and to not be held accountable for their actions.
All right, so that was Tina, the woman who was shot as part of this theft, this robbery at a BECU ATM back in April of 2024. We already showed you the sentencing has come down for Kolby Delamar. You saw him there in court. He had a rare moment where he actually spoke up in court. The judge even noted that that was something that she wasn't sure herself would actually happen because he's young. You don't typically see young men that did something like this step up and actually make a statement in court. But 20-year-old Kolby Delamar, at least he was 20 when that shooting took place, speaking today in court. We are going to continue our coverage on this because both his father and his brother spoke as well. You saw some of that video of him breaking down inside the courtroom, more heartfelt personal statements being made inside the courtroom ahead of that 11-year sentence coming in. We'll get to that after another short commercial break. Right now you are watching the Fox Local Live Desk. That video coming into our newsroom, Kolby Delamar sentenced to 11 years in prison. Now, this is a story that we've been following for quite some time here. Obviously, you heard from Tina, the woman who was shot at a BECU credit union in Covington back in 2024. Today, we had a chance not only to hear from her, as you just listened in live with us here on the Fox Local Live Desk, but we also heard from Kolby's father, causing Kolby to break down in court ahead of that 11-year prison sentence. This is going to be our last piece of video that we want to bring to you here from the Fox Local Live Desk.
Mrs. Roberts, I'm not going to sit up here and try and sugarcoat what Kolby has done. I feel your pain. I have felt it every day since Kolby done this. Everyone's a victim here. Your pain for the rest of your life, my pain, my family's pain, we're all going to live it. It can't be changed. I'm not going to sit here and say it's okay. I just hope that he gets the low end of this. Kolby is not a criminal. He has never done a criminal act of this extent. I'm not going to go into his upbringing or anything like that because it's not going to change the outcome. I know my son has a good heart. He just done a really bad thing, made a really bad choice. I strongly believe that chemical activity played a part in this. Chemical dependency, fentanyl, drugs, what it's doing to our young people today, not just my son, our young children of tomorrow are facing this every day. I send my deepest sympathies and regrets for my son's actions. We believe outside influences, such as I just mentioned, had a lot to do with this. It is our hope that with no distractions and outside influences, that he will become rehabilitated and flourish into the young man that we know, Kolby, you are capable of. Yes, you are, my son. We know you're capable. And I feel for the Roberts family every day. I pray for you, ma'am. I pray for him and my family as well. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Your Honor.
Kolby's brother, Kendall.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm Kendall Garrett Delamar, Kolby's older brother, only brother. I didn't come here with any paper or anything rehearsed. I just wanted to keep it simple, keep it genuine. I love my brother. I've always loved my brother. As my father said, he just made a bad choice, poor decision, influenced by several influences, and I have a lot of remorse for the family that is suffering this morning and has suffered for the last 15 months. There's no excuse for what my brother has done, but what I do know is that this isn't the end of the road for him. Ultimately, at this point, he does have a decision making in how his life is going to go from here on out. He's going to go to prison. This is evident, and I've spoken with him, a few times as of recent, and he's accountable for his situation. He's accountable for his choices, his actions. He's prepared for the consequences. And I just hope that he receives the proper decision making of the consequence as of how you decide. So yeah, Kolby, I love you. I love you. I'm always going to love you. I'm going to support you. I always will. Okay.
All right, that is the brother of Kolby Delamar, but you also heard the language from Tina Rothert. In the end, the judge deciding 11 years in prison. Tina still has a long road to recovery in front of her, as you saw from some of the reporting we shared earlier in the day from Fox 13's David Rose.